welcome to the Janine Boland Show. And I am here with one of my guests who always brings such quality content. We have with us today Kitti Andrews, and she's coming to us for the third time on a 4-part series that we have been working on. And it started at the beginning of the year. We were talking about physical decluttering your environment. We're talking about emotional decluttering and how you sometimes have to work not only with your environment, but your physical needs. And then today, it's all about the calendar, your mental clutter, decision fatigue, and the ways that you go about making, right? The ways you go about making your life easier by working through these different elements. So, Kitti, thank you so much for joining us yet again, and talk to us a little bit about your calendar, your decision fatigue, and some of those steps that you help business owners with every day on this.
Oh, good heavens. First of all, wonderful to be back here with you, Janine. I really enjoy our times together. I really do. We're like eggs and bacon. It just works.
It's true. It's true.
About decision fatigue, we're talking about mental clutter, and every single person, I've done many surveys along the way, especially this year, and I've asked people, which is more important to you, or more difficult for you to deal with, physical clutter or mental clutter? And 10 out of 10 people, it would be 11 out of 10 if they could, 10 out of 10 people have said, the mental clutter. Physical clutter, Kitti, we know how to pick stuff up, we just don't do it. But mental clutter, frankly, we just don't know where to start. It just gets too much, and especially with today's, yes, it was busy before COVID, of course, but now with all of the EMFs coming with us, all necessitated by the Zoom, everything is, I think, so much busier that we get tireder more quickly. And the more little things that you can do to reduce that decision fatigue. Can I talk about the clothes?
Yeah, please do. I love that. That was by accident we stumbled on that one.
Yeah, the more little things that you can do to reduce that decision fatigue, so that you can use that energy for things that you need to do, for reaching out to your clients, for getting your banking done, for heaven's sake, just anything like that that's really important. Now, I mentioned clothes, and just before we started, ladies and gentlemen, Janine complimented me on my shirt, and I said, it's pink and it's Wednesday. And she knows me well enough. Oh, okay, I get it. Well, this is Wednesday and I'm blue. She said,
exactly.
She has a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday wardrobe. And that's what I do. That's what I've been doing for at least 2 years now, because it just made life so much easier. There was absolutely no thought involved. The only thought involved is what the tie of the week. I don't wear the same tie 24/7, but that's pretty easy. That's even written down in sequence. Have everything so that you do not need to think about anything.
Well, the one thing with the clothing, they talk a lot about how Einstein had the same clothes and he would just, wear the same outfit over and over. Well, I enjoy a little bit more color than that. And so I took that idea and I have my outfits on a hanger, and it's all the clothing that I need to wear. And I have that 5 set. And what I've had people say, but don't you get bored? I'm like, absolutely not. I'm a creative. I spend 3 to 4 hours a day doing creative things. It's no way for me to get bored, but I choose not to use my creativity from my wardrobe. Now, if I were a fashion designer, or if I was in any kind of work where I had fashion, then of course that wouldn't work for me. But then we need to do the decision fatigue and realize that we can do anywhere from 30 to 40,000 decisions a day. And so I want you to think about what Kitti's going to describe regarding the calendar and what you can do with your calendar Some creatives think that they look at my calendar and how I do time blocking, and they think it's so regimented that they feel restricted and they don't have the freedom of creativity like they want to. And I want to talk about the calendar real quick before Kitty brings in her story and her tips, because it's powerful for both of us. The first thing is, you need the creative calendar, you need your managerial calendar. So I have time in the morning that's sacrosanct. There's 3 hours that nobody's allowed to touch me, talk to me, engage with me in any way, because that's my creative time. And I have to have large blocks of that. I am either coding a new part of my website, I am writing a new book, I'm recording an audio book. There's something creative happening that brings me great joy. And that's why it starts off my day perfectly. Okay. But
Yeah.
then after that time, I have breakfast, and then that's when my work day as an entrepreneur starts at 9 a.m. through 6 p.m. That's when I have what I call the manager side of my life. That is the person who makes sure the creative stays profitable and the mortgage gets paid and tuition
Mhm.
for college kids. So your calendar, if you're a creative like I am and like Kitty is, you've got to have your creative blocks of time that are sacrosanct. Nobody gets to mess with that. And then you have the manager time, which is all about meetings and schedules and that lack of freedom that causes people to get a little tense. But it's amazing as a creative, you're not tense if you know you've got that creative time that's just for you. So go ahead, Kitty. You were telling us about when we were in the green room, you were talking about your calendar and how magic has happened this week with it.
Oh, good heavens. Well, first I'll say amen to what you just said about the morning being your creative time. I call that my writing time, which is also sacrosanct unless there's an emergency. And there are very few emergencies in life. That is my time to get it done. Why? Partly because I'm freshest then. In the afternoon, I'm a little bit more tired, so but people energize me. So that's when I meet with people, and yeah, I come back to life, and that's all good. So amen to that. Now, calendars. Yes. You mentioned about that it's in that some people think that it's too structured, too imprisoned.
Restrictive.
Yes, I disagree. I think if you reframe that, then I've said before that structure is freedom.
Mhm.
If you can have that, then you know in your brain, all right, I have 3 hours to do my writing, my what everything that we do in the morning. So I find that absolutely liberating. In the afternoon, when everyone is bombarding me, that's when I feel restricted, kind of thing. Anywho, uh, calendar. I have been arguing with two calendars for a long time. My one Gmail calendar, and then the other G Suite Google Workspace calendar, and wondering, well, which one do I use? I don't want to give up the original one because I'm afraid I'll lose something. Or, but the new one, I don't really know. Well, what should I put on it? And finally, I said, why don't you just see if you can integrate the two? Hello, Google. Found out how to do it with a couple of clicks. They were all there. Everything was together. Is it perfect? No, it could use a little bit of tweaking. One part of it, one part of one screen says busy, and then the other part will say what the actual appointment is. In other words, for this appointment, it says Janine on one little square and it says busy on the other square. I can fix that, but I don't really need to. What it saved me time already yesterday when you get those alerts saying you schedule something and it says add it to your calendar. Well, I didn't know which one to add it to. So I would go to the old calendar, manually enter everything in, add it to the new calendar and hope for the best. Well, that's no way to run a business, is it? I mean, certainly you can see the mental energy going, right?
Yep, exactly.
So I'm feeling a difference in that already when you can simplify things something as simple as that can use up a horrifying amount of energy in stress that you're forgetting something. And it's not good to forget things in business.
Right? Especially when we all are on a timeline and we know how precious our time is. As an entrepreneur and as a business owner or creative, whatever you happen to be working on, the timeline, that is your most precious resource. People think it's money. I say health first, time second. And
Mhm.
money I can always make. I can make money later, but I cannot get my time back or my health if
That's
it
right.
gets too disastrous. So those are things that we talked about in previous things. So let's talk a little bit more about that decision fatigue. So here you had this perfect example with your calendar of where you were in decision fatigue every time you had to go to your calendar. Oh my goodness. I am so happy that you finally got that stuff to merge. But please remember, some of us started off with the Franklin planner systems where you had to rewrite things in paper. And so as we move into the digital, some people are like, I've always had a digital calendar. I don't know what people are talking about. I've been time blocking forever. I want to remind you to look at your time blocked calendar, right? Look at your time block calendar and make sure those blocks are still appropriate. Sometimes we don't refresh and look at our calendar news. So tell us what you were going to say, Kitty.
You mentioned paper. I'm a paper junkie, and I just like you said, we started with paper,
Right.
and digital. I wouldn't even have a digital calendar, frankly, if it weren't for people scheduling consultations with me. I just wouldn't bother to have it. I'm old school, but here we are. Everything is color coded. Don't know if you could see that well enough, but for me, this registers. If this is not filled in, then I feel lost. I don't feel quite where things should be. No matter whether you like digital or paper, it's important that you have something that works for you. Would you agree?
Oh, definitely. I've worked with several people that will not give up their paper calendars because it is a part of their memory process,
Mm-hmm.
or it's part of their creative process. They started this system 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And if you go and force them to shift that, it will destroy the rest of their process. So, what we do when I'm working with certain business owners is I always go, okay, keep your paper, but I want you to take a picture of it and send it to your executive assistant or your virtual assistant so she can put it in your digital calendar. That way, you're still
Mm-hmm.
in your process, but you're automating it so that when somebody does try to schedule on Calendly or bookme.com, that you're up to date as far as the digital. And so that seems to be working for a lot of folks who are in that transition. Now, to some folks who have always been digital, to them, they're like, that is insane. And I'm like, no, no, it's not. Not if you were raised with the Franklin planner systems and then you had to move up. I mean, as a society, we have been moving very quickly with all the tech, and we have to allow people time to shift gears or allow them to keep a process that is highly successful and profitable. These are people who are running $20 million companies still on paper. And you're like, a millennial looks at me and goes, how is that possible? I'm like, you have to remember they started this company on paper. They
Yep.
they had all these systems in place before the digital age ever gave a whisper of help to them. So we have to take that into account. This is how creatives can keep their systems and still declutter. So back to you, Kitty, with the whole decluttering thing. Talk to us
We're
about mental clutter because you were saying people don't always know how to deal with that.
I have discovered a system this year and we touched on it a little bit back in June with emotional clutter, and that it can cause mental clutter. And by necessity this year, and by accident, I discovered a way to use my one system for decluttering, for physical decluttering, which is one room at a time, one area at a time, one thing at a time. When your brain is busily buzzing, Say that 5
Well
times.
said. Well said.
Thank you. Buzzing busily. Um, to and it's thinking, I have a laundry list of things, and all of these things are going through your head, and the panics can start to set in, and you wonder,
Anxiety is high.
yeah,
Mhm.
and you think there's no possible way I'll get it all done, and you dissolve. There is half of your mental energy for the day gone there. All right. Well, rather than go for that nap that you really, really want right now, I have found, stop. Look at, I'll use this as an example. Look at this list. Yes, I do have a proper list. It's not all on envelopes. Look at this and say, what is the most important thing you've got to do? Now, this is not something new, but the way I've thought of it is what matters most. And usually it's the people category. I put everything into categories, and even a people category. Okay, who are because they're important. They're, whether it's your clients or your collaborators or whatever, they are waiting for you to make an answer to them, or if they're waiting for your help or whatever it is, they matter the most. So I'll go through this list and say, okay, the people, I'm looking after the people first. And then you can subdivide that. This email can wait to go out for a couple of days because I know they're not waiting for me, kind of thing. But if you just kind of niche it down, niche it down, niche it down with a category, it sounds simplistic, but once you get the hang of it, it has saved my bacon over and over and over again this year, because this is ADHD Awareness Month, and I am a flag waving ADHD with brains going everywhere at 5:30 in the morning. And this has made my life so much simpler. Well, Kitty, you still have to make decisions on what to do. Yes, but you've narrowed it down from 25 things to do to 5 things to do.
And that's doable. All of a sudden, your shoulders drop down from your
Yeah.
ears. You can take a breath and you're like, okay, I can do that. So, talk to us about that 7 step freedom system that you have. That's the
Ah,
freebie today. I really think people can learn a lot from it. I loved it. I loved running through your worksheets.
oh, God bless you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This is my 7 easy steps to conquer your physical and mental clutter. It's the original. Why? Because I've thought maybe I should revise it. Everybody revises everything. It stands on its own because it's 7 easy steps that they're meant to be followed in order. And it was originally done around physically decluttering your home. But the idea is to break it down so that it isn't overwhelming, because that's a large part of why people don't do physical decluttering, or they'll put it off until people start to complain a lot, or it's driving you nuts. It's meant to be followed in order, and it comes with 7 short little videos from yours truly, and you can tell what day those videos were recorded, by the way. Uh,
But what color outfit she's wearing. So, where can they find it?
We'll be posting the link, I believe,
Hmm.
or
Yep.
you can just go to if you're listening and you can't read, just go to www.declutterthebrain.com, and it's there, as well as a link to book to reserve a free and quick chat with me to so I can give you a jumpstart plan for right now results. Get you moving. Get you out of
It
this.
does. It does get people moving. And I wanted to say thank you so much for being with us today, Kitty. I appreciate your 2 cents that you put in on everything. And the biggest thing is the fact that in January, we're going to do the last of the 4 segments. And in January, we have it scheduled. We're going to be doing that. And we are talking about doing a workshop together on how we can help entrepreneurs. So stay in tune for that. But the biggest thing is definitely get Kitty's 7 steps. because I know when I went through it and watched her videos, and was it stuff I had heard before? Yes, but it was a different perspective. And that is what's valuable. It's the fact that you're getting this different perspective and you're able to work through your own mental clutter. And it helped remind me of some of the stuff I'd totally forgotten about. Like, oh yeah, right. That makes life so much easier if I just do it that way. Little things, little tiny baby steps. So thanks so much for your time today, Kitti.
Thank you so much, Janine. You're right, baby steps.
Baby steps on all this. You guys take care as you get ready to move into the holidays. I highly recommend you definitely go to declutterthemind.com, book that appointment with Kitti, because the holidays are coming and you know how stressed you get when you have to deal with family and activities and events and expectations. Kitti can help you with all of that. So definitely take her up on that free consult. All right, talk to you guys later.